BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we're going to be answering about that team and our August 17th preseason football preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, it is the Anson Tigers.
Yeah, and it's looking like it's going to be a year of significant transition for the Tigers this year. Coach Chris Hagler has moved on. In his place is Corey McCombs, former coach of Lockney. And really, they don't have a whole lot back from last year's squad. Only 8 lettermen back from that group, lost 14. They'll have 3 starters back on both sides of the ball, and they'll have replacements from a 2-8 JV team. So this looks like this could be a little bit of a rebuilding project this year for Coach McCombs. But Anson has built a little bit of tradition. You expect them to compete. You expect them to kind of fight for one of those playoff spots. But this year it could be a tough one. They've got a lot of youth filling some spots.
Yeah, and of the people they've got coming back, Dan, a lot of them are young, and I think we have to be fair with Anson because of that. Aside from Damian Rollins, who's a senior linebacker, running back who's coming back, he'll be a key part of that. Corey Lane is a sophomore running back. Steiker Dillard is a receiver. He's a sophomore. These are people they're going to be leaning on. Elias Ramos, another receiver. This guy's a sophomore. Tyler Wilburn, quarterback, junior. These are young kids. It's going to be an inexperienced group that will be taking the field for Anson in 2022. And they're going to have to learn a new system in the meantime. I guess if you're going to learn a new system, that's the right time to do it, because you have a lot of young faces. Instead of trying to teach old dogs new tricks, it's always nice to install a new system with a bunch of young, fresh faces on your varsity. But it's unfair to judge them. You have a high level of expectations when they're going through that.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is, you'll have new terminology, obviously, but they are going to still be sticking with kind of a spread look. So some of the things will be concepts will be familiar, but it's always difficult when you transition into a new coach, particularly when you have a guy like Hagler who had been in place for a while. So there will be, I'm sure, some adjustment time needed for Coach McCombs. But it's going to be interesting. This is going to be a young group, like you said, a lot of sophomores. They got a strong sophomore class. They may be starting 4 or 5 of those guys, some of which saw playing time last year as freshmen. But around those is going to be, a veteran here or there that are going to be really relied on for leadership. You mentioned Rollins. He's going to be a big one. And obviously Tyler Wilburn, who got a little bit of time at quarterback last year as a sophomore, he's going to need to be a big part of what they do offensively as well. So we'll just have to see. I think this year, it's going to be I think it will be something of a rebuilding season for Anson. It is going to be a younger group that's going to have to really battle and compete. But the one good thing about that district they're in is after the toughies at the top of that district, where you're talking about Cisco and those types of teams, there are opportunities there to compete for that 4th playoff spot. So they will have some opportunities at some wins throughout their district schedule. They're just going to have to capitalize on those opportunities when they have them.
All right. And while we're at it, why don't we go ahead and take a look at that schedule for Anson, Dan? They opened the non-district portion of their schedule on the 26th at Seymour. That's a tough road trip. At Archer City is going to be a week later on September the 2nd. Then they've got Dublin coming to town on the 9th for their home opener. And then they're going to be facing the Haskell Indians on the 16th to close out a non-district portion of their schedule. Some winnable games. There's some opportunities to get in the win column prior to jumping into what is going to be a very fun, interesting, tough district.
Yeah, you mentioned tough. It's tough right off the bat. They host Hawley right off the bat, a team that played for the state championship last year. Then go to Colorado City, at home against Winters, go to Olney, then at home against Stanford, and they finish up with another really tough matchup at Cisco. So when you talk about the Hawley and Cisco, you're talking about 2 teams that could contend for potentially another trip to a state championship game. So those are obviously going to be tough. But I do think that there is kind of a middle there in this district where there's going to be a lot of competition for that 4th spot in particular. Stanford should be improved as well.
I look at Stanford as going to be one of those teams in this league that's going to take a big step forward. They've got a lot of people coming back. Hawley and Cisco are going to be very tough, as we know they always are. Stanford, I think, is going to be in line to try to get that 3rd spot, if not higher. They could sneak up a little bit higher. But there's a 3-game run here for Anson that are going to be very important. Sea City, winners only, where they're going to have to take care of business and at least come out of that grouping, say, with a 2-1 record. And then just go ahead and face the other guys and let the chips fall where they may. But if they want to make postseason play with this young group, that 3-week stretch, Sea City, winners only, will be the crucial portion of that schedule.
Yeah, I agree completely. Those are the three big games, and I think to feel confident that you're going to make playoffs, I think you almost have to win out because, like you said, Stanford's going to be significantly improved this year, and then in Holly and Cisco, you're talking about two region powers. So those games at Colorado City against Winters at home and then at Olney are really big games. And unfortunately for Anson, you're playing two of them on the road with a young team. So we'll just see. I think this will be an opportunity for great growth. Regardless, this is going to be. I mean, anytime you have a first year coach, there's going to be some opportunities there just to kind of get established and those sorts of things, and kind of learn the system and those, and just get more comfortable with each other. I think that's going to be a big part of this season for Anson, as they move forward. But I do think if they can win those three games, that they can do so and still make the playoffs, which would be a really nice deal for them.
Well, technically speaking, if you throw a tiebreaker in, just depends on how it shakes out when those three teams play each other. If you win two, you still have a shot.
That's true.
You get involved in a tiebreaker, but that's bare minimum. They're going to have to win two out of those three. If they win three of them, if they win all three, they're a lock. They're in.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's true. If you win two, you have a chance, but you've got to win two of them. And that's the thing. It's on one hand, it's nice you can kind of circle those games on the calendar and know that these are the big games we've got. You know what's ahead of you. You know the task ahead of you. But it's not going to be an easy task, particularly with a young team. I mean, again, they're replacing 8 starters on both sides of the football, which creates a lot of question marks and some uncertainty there. But this is going to be a chance for a lot of young players to grow and to get better, and we'll just have to see if this team and this program can grow along with those guys.
All right. With that, it's just about time to wrap up tonight's edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Day series, the Anson Tigers. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we've got 3 different subscription packages here at bigcountrypreps.com. We've got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where you knock that price down to $4 a month. And then we got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month, $36 for a full year of Big Country high school athletic coverage. And please note that even though we've got high inflation these days, our prices haven't gone up.
We'd also like to remind you before we close out this episode of our Countdown to Two-Day series to be on the lookout for our August 17th Big Country Preps preseason football preview. There's going to be a ton of content on area football. You will not want to miss that. In the meantime, thank you for checking out this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Day series, and make sure you join us again tomorrow when we will be talking about the Cisco Lobos here at bigcountrypreps.com.